called as single bonded hydrocarbons, also called as alkanes. Let's study how alkanes are formed and how to draw structures of different alkanes. So let's study the first thing, the general formula of alkane. Alkane means a single bond and the general formula is CnH2n plus 2. So if I put n is equal to 1, what will happen is C1, H2 into 1 plus 2. So what will happen is CH4, and CH4 is methane. So how is this methane formed? Carbon, always remember, when you're drawing the structure, you have to draw the carbon compound with the carbon drawn first. So there is one carbon, so draw one carbon, and what does the carbon contain? 4 bonds. So draw the 4 bonds, and in those bonds, who will come is hydrogen. So this is how methane is formed. Now in this methane, you have to draw the electron cross dot structure. So you know the structural formula of methane. It looks something like this, right? So what will happen? Every bond will be replaced by a cross for carbon and dot for hydrogen, because the bond is 2 electrons, one of this and the other one. So cross dot, cross dot, cross dot. If you want to see how this methane is formed, this is the diagram which we previously understood about. This is the atomic structure and it would look something like this. So this is how methane is formed. Now let's talk about something different, which is ethane. Put n is equal to 2, C2H2 into 2 plus 2, C2H4 plus 2, C2H6. Carbon, again, how many carbons are there? How many carbons are there? There are 2 carbons. So if there are 2 carbons, what is going to happen? You have to draw those 2 carbons first. And ethane, meaning ane means single bond. So the single bond will be drawn second. So the carbon atoms will be connected by a single bond, and in this single bond, you have to draw the rest of the bonds. That is, 1 bond is there, 3 more bonds you have to bond. And these 3 bonds will be shared by hydrogen. And this is how the same will be applied to the other carbon, and this is how ethane is formed. So how do you draw a cross dot structure? Simple. You have to draw ethane, and you know now that every carbon and hydrogen has a single bond, meaning 2 electrons, and because they are both different, a carbon and hydrogen bond will be a cross dot. Same for the other one. All of them will be a cross dot. But what about carbon and carbon? They are different. They are the same element. So both will have the same structure. As we have used cross for carbon, they will be substituted by a cross and a cross. Do you understand how to draw a propane maybe now? So alkane, general formula is CnH2n plus 2. Put n is equal to 3. C3H2 into 3 plus 2. C3H8. So there are 3 carbons. Single bonded because propane. And now, because every carbon has bonds, you have to count and put the rest of the bonds. Now the left hand side carbon has only 1 bond, so there will be 3 bonds to it containing 3 hydrogen. But the center carbon has 2 bonds already, one with this carbon, one with other carbon, so only 2 hydrogens, and therefore something like this will appear in front of you. Now this propane, how do you draw a cross dot structure? Very simple. All the crosses will be for carbon and all the dots will be for hydrogen. A trick would be to have 4 crosses besides carbon, and whenever there is a hydrogen, have 1 dot because it has only 1 electron. Now put n is equal to 4. C4, H2 into 4, that is 8 plus 2, 10. C4H10 would be the formula for butane. But how do you draw butane without knowing the formula? So I have 4 carbons and ane meaning single bond. Now if you see, the corner carbons have only 1 bond, so they will have 3 bonds. But the center 2 carbons have already 2 bonds each on each side. So they will have only 1 above, 1 below. And a structure like this will appear in front of you when you draw it. So you can just recheck how many carbons are there, how many hydrogens are there, and be sure that you've been doing the right thing. So how will you draw the electron cross dot structure for butane? Very simple. Carbon will again, both carbons cross cross. Carbon hydrogen cross dot. So this is how it will change. And this is the cross dot structure for butane. So I hope you don't have any doubts. How would you draw an alkane? If there is a pentane, if there is a hexane, you can practice at home how to draw a heptane maybe. So do that and I'll see you in the next module.